So one of my students wanted to make a Space Invaders game, and I thought that would be a good one to show. In fact, there are lots of classic 80s arcade games available for free online, and they're really good ones when you're starting out learning how to do your Greenfoot programming to try out. So let's see. Let's just take a look at how it's played, so we get the idea here. So there's this little guy. You can see the green guy at the bottom that you can move around, and I'm moving him with the left and right arrow keys, and you press the space bar to shoot, and you try to shoot the little guys that are coming down after you. And they're actually, when they hit your barriers, they kind of wear down your barriers. Got me. But then, so I lost a life there, it looks like. So you can see what's going. There's a lot going on here. There's a score going on. I have a certain number of lives. There are these guys coming down and shooting, and I can exit, or I can start a new game. So let me just show you how I would go about trying to build this in Greenfoot. And actually, even before I got to Greenfoot, I think the first thing I would do is try to think out, to begin this game, what's the smallest little bit of functionality that I can get going and have something complete before I go to the next step. So I already have a good model of what this whole thing, what I want this whole thing to look like. To start, to have a small working piece, what I would focus on is just putting this little green guy that can shoot, the piece that I'm playing. I would want to have a way of moving him back and forth, putting him on the screen and being able to move him back and forth with the arrow key would be my first step. So one thing I like to do is kind of mock things up too in micro worlds. I may or may not do this depending on how complicated the thing is that I'm trying to build, but and again, I'm using micro worlds. You can do this with pencil and paper, right? You can just draw out what you want your thing to look like. But let's see, I'm going to make so to start off, I want a spaceship, and I want to be able to move the spaceship back and forth with the arrow keys. Okay, so the first step then in Greenfoot is to get the spaceship on the screen. So what did I do? So in Greenfoot, I started out with a project. I named it Space Invaders V1 for version 1. Because what I like to do is I like to build multiple versions of my project, and that way if I mess something up in one step, I can go back to an earlier version and play around with that. So let's see. I'm going to make my world. So yeah, I need to have a world, right? What does the background look like in that Space Invaders game? It's basically just a black background, it looks like, right? So let me try and make a black background and make it big enough to play. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's see. So I want to make a subclass here. I'll just call it space. And since I just want a black background, I'm not gonna add an image. I'm just gonna say super, and I think I'll make it 640 by 480. And I'm picking that size just because it's in the olden days that was like the size of a screen, believe it or not. And let's see what else. This one has to do with cell size, which we'll talk about in a second. But I want to set the background to black. So let's see. How do I do that? Let's go to help in here, Greenfoot class documentation, and look in world. So what I'm looking for is a way to set the color of the background. Okay. And if I just do a search on color, it says get color at. That's not exactly what I want. So that returns the color at the center of a cell. Okay, so it looks like there's not a set color thing for world. So what I could do is maybe make a Greenfoot image that's the color that I want, and then just fill that with the fill the entire image with the current drawing color. So I'll need to create an image and then set the background of the world to that image. Okay, because world doesn't have a set color, but it has a set background. Okay, so and set background needs a Greenfoot image. So we'll have to figure out how to make a Greenfoot image that's all black. So I have 3 different constructors here. So I could make a Greenfoot image from another Greenfoot image, or from a width and a height, or from a file name, or from a string, a size of, oh, look at this. This has color foreground, color background. So I could put in a color. Creates an image with a given string drawn as text. Oh, but I don't want a text string though. So let's see here. Why don't we? So I'm going to use, you know, and I might be able to fudge this by having an empty string. You know, but but it doesn't give me a way of setting the width and the height nicely. I think it sets the width and the height based on the string, so that's not going to help me. So I'm going to use this constructor here that has the width and the height. So I can create an image that's the width and the height of my world, and then you know, make it black and set the background to that. So let's look at the constructor here. So Greenfoot image. So this is the constructor I want. So I want to create a Greenfoot image with the width and height of my world. So let's see. So the width and height. The width of my world is 640. The height of my world is 480. So let me create a Greenfoot image. Greenfoot image, and I'll just call it I don't know, G background for Greenfoot background. And we're going to set that equal to, we're making a new, so we're going to use the constructor that had width and height. So my width is 640, my height is 480. Now already this bothers me to have 640 in 2 places and 480 in 2 places, because What if I decide to change the size of my world? I need to also remember to change the size of my image, and I'm really bad at remembering things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a public static final int called width and set that to 640. Now there's a lot of words in here, so actually this could be private. You can make variables public or private. There's also another mode called protected. But basically, keep things private if you're only going to use it inside a particular class, which is what I'm going to do. So, and then static just says make one copy of this variable for the whole class. So if I didn't have static there, it would make a width variable. Well, it doesn't really matter as far as worlds, but if this was an actor, say, it would create another width variable for every actor that I made. So in general practice, if you're going to have a variable that's not going to change, you make it static. And final basically says programmers are not allowed to change the value of width. So if I tried to do something like, you know, width equals 74, I don't know if that'll even compile. Well, tell me something. Yeah, cannot assign a value to final variable width because it's a final. Because I declared it final, so I can't assign values to it. So in other words, it's always going to be 640. And again, I'm using a variable just because I don't want to have to change 640 in both places. So, and it's an int, right? Because it's a number, and it's a number without any decimals. So I'm going to here, let me do it like this. I'm going to say copy, and then I'm going to say paste, and I'm going to paste it here. And now, if I change the width of my screen, I just need to change it in one place, and then every other place where I use the word width, it'll change it. And I'm going to do the same thing with height. Private static final int height equals 480. Okay, so I'm going to copy that and paste and paste again. Okay, so now I have a background. So now, let's see, I need to set the drawing color to black so that when I draw in there, it'll fill up with black. So how do I? Okay, so there's this set color, which sets the current drawing color. Okay, so set color, and for input it needs a java.awt.color color. So notice for this parameter, this int is just an int, right? And a greenfoot image, they just say greenfoot image. There's no package information. This stuff up here, this java.awt. whatever, that's package information. That's telling you that this class belongs to a particular package that you're going to have to import in Greenfoot. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this java.awt.color because I want to remember to import it. So that's the first thing I'm going to do here. Just say import paste java.awt.color. So now I can use this class in this file. And then what I want to do to set the drawing color is to say set color to whatever color. So how do we define colors? Let's take a look at so that's part of the Java library. So again, when you see this package business and this says like java.awt, That's telling you need to look in the Java library. Okay, so we're going to look at the Java library documentation, and we're going to look for color, because I want to see how I can set my color to black. Okay, so I'm kind of searching through here. Color. And look, there's two different variables for black. So, and they're static. So what does that mean? So if they're static, just like in Greenfoot, where you have all these methods that are declared static. So you have to say Greenfoot dot delay, Greenfoot dot get key, Greenfoot dot get random number. So when something's static, you need to give the class name and then a dot. So this class is the color class. So if I want to get access to this variable black, okay, it's a public static final variable. So it's almost like it's declared in a similar way to the one that I set up for height and width, but this one's public. Okay, so public static final color black. So the way that we access that one then is to say set color. Now is to basically say set color to color dot black. Okay, so color is the class name, black is the variable name. So we access that here. Now the only problem we have here is that set color is not a it's not a world method or a space method. So we're going to have a problem here. It says cannot find. Oh, this should have been Greenfoot image, right? So I'm going to say copy, paste. That set color is not a method in space or in world. It's a method in where are we? It's a method in Greenfoot image, right? The set color. So really, what we want to do is we want to call set color on the on this image, this G background. Maybe I should call it G background image. Okay, so then we want to call set color on this image. So I'm going to do a copy and a paste dot. So now we have the object dot set color. Okay. So here, this is a class name and a dot. Okay, because we're calling a static. We're looking for a static variable. Here we're calling a method on an object, so we have the object name and a dot. And see, this is where another place where it's good to always use a capital letter for your classes and a lowercase letter to start your object names, okay, or object references. Because then it's easier to see what's going on. So now we've set the drawing color of the background image to black, but we haven't drawn anything yet. So let's see, how do we fill in that whole image rectangle? Well, there's this method called fill. It says fill the entire image with the current drawing D color, the drawing color. Okay, so let's go back and fill that in. And again, this is something that we need to ask background image to do. So I'll say copy, paste. I like to copy and paste the names of things a lot, especially if it's of any length, just because that way I make sure I don't spell things wrong. So G background image fill. Okay, so if I'd have called fill before this, before setting the color, then I don't know what color it would have been. But this way I know I'm filling it with black. And now finally I can set the background image for the world. So let's find the world here. And there's a get background. I bet there's a set background. Yeah, look right here. There's two of them. Okay, so there's one that sets the background from an image file, and there's another one that's the one we need to set the background from a Greenfoot image. Okay, right here it says public final void set background Greenfoot image. Okay. Let's see. So again, let's paste that and say, oh no, wait. Nope. Set background. Set background is a world method. So that's something we're doing with the world. So I want to say set background to, and let's copy this and paste it again to that. Okay. So let's see. Did we do everything we needed to do? We created the image. We set its color. We filled it with that color, and now we're setting the background to that image. So let's see if that works. Awesome. Now we have a nice black background. So in the next video, we'll work on getting a spaceship into the world.